All right, I think I will go ahead and get started. We might roll back if more people come in. But my name is Robert Elliott, and this is going to be a live demo of getting started with home automation, specifically how to use Home Assistant, a self-hosted Home Assistant, to automate things around your house. So a little bit about me. I've got a bachelor's in electrical engineering and a bachelor's in computer engineering, and then a master's in electrical engineering. I started off my career at Micron, where I worked on embedded systems for 7 years, helping to build industrial test equipment. I then went on to Bastion Solutions to work on autonomous robots for a few years, and then for the last almost 3 years, I've been with Baxter working on embedded systems for medical devices. So the common thing is all of these involve embedded systems, and if you don't know what an embedded system is, embedded systems are all around us. Your phone is an embedded system, smart appliances are embedded systems, just most electronic devices that have some interaction with the real world are going to be some form of embedded systems. And what I have always enjoyed and what got me into embedded systems in the first place is being able to write code and see this device interact some way in the real world, whether it's blinking an LED or controlling a motor. That's just the type of programming I've always had the most fun doing. And it's what got me into home automation. Outside of work, I enjoy rock climbing, trail running, mountain biking, skiing. My wife and I get to travel the state all the time in a camper van that I helped build. So just a little disclaimer. If I use any terms that you're not familiar with, my intention of this presentation was not that you needed any level of expertise. So if I say something and you don't know what that means, please feel free to interrupt and have me clarify. This is supposed to be for all skill levels, and just let me know if I need to clarify anything for anybody in the audience. Okay, so what is the goal of this demo? Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have all of the skills necessary to get started with your very own self-hosted Home Assistant. I will show you how to add some basic devices, how to get some basic automations set up for those devices, and how to add rooms, customize this Home Assistant for the specific needs of your own home. And then at the end, I will provide a list of basic getting started materials that you would need to get started with your own Home Assistant. So why automate? I've heard from some friends that I told that I was doing this class that they, don't like all the smart features that are getting, crammed down. They don't like having another app. But I think that, this is the new norm. I think more appliances are going to come with smart features, and I think that it would be good to develop the skills now to learn how to take control of these things rather than have apps for every single appliance in your house. A personal story on why I got into home automation was when I bought my house, the previous owner who had flipped it made a couple of interesting decisions. For one, he seemed to really like three-way switches, and so every single light in the house seemed to have two switches that controlled it. And so this led to a lot of inconvenient things, like I would go to bed, flip the light switch by my bed, and the lights wouldn't turn off. So I had to get up, walk across the room, and then flip the other light switch before I could then use the light switch by my bed. Same thing for leaving the house. I would walk out the front door, flip the light switch, and the lights would still be on. So I have to go to the light switch on the other side of the room in order to turn the lights off. So I could have done a couple of things. I could have lived with this inconvenience. I could have paid thousands of dollars to rip all the wiring out of my home and redo it the way I wanted to, or I could buy some smart switches. And that's what I ended up doing. I bought a set of Lutron smart light switches that allowed me to control the lights from an app. It also allowed me to set scenes and rooms for the lights the way I saw fit. Another inconvenience was that the bathroom, and this isn't a large bathroom, it's a pretty small one, had 5 separate light switches for each light in the room. That was pretty annoying. By installing smart switches, I was able to have all the switches be grouped together so I could just have one place to turn them on and turn them off. So that was the very first thing that got me into home automation. The next thing I got was the remote control for my mini split broke, and I couldn't find another one to replace it. But what I did find was I found a little infrared controller that connected to an app, so I was able to mount that to the wall and using this app then control my mini split. And then I was able to set schedules, I was able to better control it, and I didn't have to keep finding a remote control where the batteries would die and it wouldn't always work. But then I had 2 apps for 2 different things in my house.
What is a mini split? Sorry.
Let's see, they don't have them here, but they're like little heat pumps. So instead of like a central AC, it's something you'll see connected to like the wall on your house, but not like a in-window unit. It's, yeah. Heating and cooling, yeah, but just not a central air conditioning system. So yeah, then I had 2 apps. Sometime later, I got a robot vacuum because when my wife moved in, she brought her hairy Maine Coon cat, and then we had hair getting everywhere, and it's a lot easier to clean all that up with a robot vacuum that can get under the couches and whatnot. But then that was a 3rd app that I had to get, and I could see where this would eventually go. In no time, I'd have a dozen apps all controlling different things, and each time you install one of these apps in your phones, it's another set of new permissions and data mining and all of that. So eventually I discovered Home Assistant, which was a way to centrally control all of those. And instead of having apps for every individual device, what's actually going on behind the scenes is a lot of these devices broadcast messages and have an API that works on your either home Wi-Fi network or some other type of network like a Zigbee. And so instead of having to have all of these things go on your phone, you can point all these devices to something like a Home Assistant or a smart home thing.
And other companies don't gate those in a way where you can't use them? That's interesting.
So more companies are adopting open standards that anybody can use, because then they don't have to come up with their own set of protocols. It also makes, rather than one company having to develop their entire custom suite of products, they can say, oh yeah, you can. So it makes it easier for smaller companies to have a device that will work as part of a larger ecosystem. Yeah, so Matter is one of the protocols that like a lot of companies are adopting, but a lot of the newer ones are using more open protocols that are easier to do. So what are the options for automating your home? Home Assistant is one particular solution, but there are other options. There are things like Amazon Home, Google Home, Apple Home, but all of these products are closed source, and so they're proprietary, closed source, and they're cloud-based. How Home Assistant, I'm getting ahead of myself. So those are different options, and I'm gonna highlight why I think Home Assistant is kind of the way to go and what I've found great about it. But before I do that, I need to clarify a couple of different terms. So I've talked about open source versus closed source. And when I say open source, what I mean is that all of the source code, the actual instructions behind the application that runs the Home Assistant is freely available. It's posted on GitHub. You can examine the code. You can see what's going on under the hood. If there's something you don't like, you can take a copy of it and modify it and make it your own. If you find a bug, you can either submit a bug to the maintainers through GitHub, or you can fix it yourself and submit a patch to the maintainers. So because everything is open and available for people to inspect, there's no hidden gotchas. There's no data mining going on without your knowledge. There's nobody injecting things like ads. You don't have that same thing with things like Amazon Alexa, Google Home, or Apple Home. They might say that they have all of your data securely stored and they're not using it, but you have to take their word for it. And I think what we've seen time and time again is that they are not actually storing your data securely, and they are using your data to do things like train their AI models and sell you more targeted ads. You just don't have that same type of thing with an open source solution. And so an example of that is with an Amazon Echo device. So this is a complaint that somebody lodged on the Amazon help websites, and they're talking about this Amazon Echo that they paid money for, and all of a sudden its behavior changed and it started sending them ads. And so this is their complaints to Amazon, saying that they don't really like this new functionality. Amazon responds with, "We're sorry you're unhappy with the content, but this is working exactly as intended. You bought this device, you paid us money, now we want to use this device to get you to buy more of our stuff." You're not going to have that with something like a self-hosted Home Assistant. The next thing I want to talk about is self-hosted versus cloud-based. So when I talk about self-hosted, it's a physical device running on your network. In this case, we have a Raspberry Pi computer. So it's a local device running on your network. When we have things that are cloud-based, they're applications that are running somewhere on the cloud, oftentimes on the other side of the country or the world. And this has led to a number of kind of funny things. In one case, there was an AWS crash, so an Amazon Web Services crash, that caused people that had bought these very expensive smart beds where the controls for these smart beds were entirely cloud-based. And so when AWS went down, many people that had bought these smart beds all of a sudden were locked out of changing the controls on it. And so some people even had their mattresses stuck in the upright position with the heat on. And so that is, personally, I think there are lots of good applications to have hosted on the cloud. But I think that anything in your home should be controlled at your home. And you shouldn't ever not be able to turn on and off your lights because of an AWS outage on the other side of the country. All right. So, did I skip a slide? Okay. So, I've been talking about Home Assistant, but what is it? It's not an application like an app that you would install on your phone or on a computer. It is its own operating system. It's based off of Linux, but it is something that you can either install on a computer in place of something like Windows or Apple. And you have a couple of different ways of getting it up and running. You can, if you know how to do this, install it as a virtual system, either in a container or a virtual machine. There are some issues doing that, though. It has some difficulty interfacing with peripheral devices. So I'm going to talk a lot about like connecting devices over Zigbee, which requires a USB connection. It can be done virtually, but it's a lot more difficult. What I'm going to show is how to get it set up on its own hardware. And you have a couple of options for that. Home Assistant does sell some devices with varying levels of involvement for getting started. So there's something called the Home Assistant Green, which is kind of the easiest to get up and running. It is fully assembled, so ready to go out of the box. It already has Home Assistant installed on it. So this is something that you could buy from them, plug into your home's network, power it on, and it's just ready to go. If you want something that's a little bit more involved, though, you can buy something like the Home Assistant Yellow. What that is a base motherboard, and you can install your own compute module on top of that. So you can install like a Raspberry Pi compute module or like a Rockchip compute module, anything that fits that same interface for the Raspberry Pi compute module, you can install on it and kind of help build your own Home Assistant device.
So is Home Assistant hardware or software?
Home Assistant is an operating system.
So
It's software.
it's the software, but if you want, they sell the hardware that has it on it.
Yes. What I'm going to show is how to get it up and running on a Raspberry Pi computer. So if you're not familiar, Raspberry Pi is a brand of single board computers. They're designed to be pretty inexpensive. They're pretty versatile. They have a bunch of GPIOs for controlling things. So they're used all the time by makers and for all sorts of even in industrial applications. I really like Raspberry Pis. I've got close to a dozen for various applications around the house. I highly recommend them. But you could also install it on something like an Odroid, which is another single board computer based off of the NXP processor. That's usually more geared toward like Android development, but it's another option that'll work out of the box with Home Assistant. But if you happen to have an old computer, an old laptop lying around, as long as you have access to the BIOS to install your own operating system, you can install Home Assistant on it. So let's say you've got like a 10-year-old laptop or an old desktop that's not really good for modern applications or whatnot. Home Assistant does not require a lot of computing power. As you see here, for Raspberry Pis, it only needs 2 gigs of RAM. And so if you have, even like 10-year-old laptop, it still has probably more computing power than what Home Assistant will ever use. So again, as long as you have access to the BIOS such that you can install your own operating system on it, you can put Home Assistant on it and it'll do everything it needs. So what kind of hardware can you connect to it? Many different devices have different ways of communicating. Some connect over Bluetooth, some over Wi-Fi. Others are using a different thing called Zigbee, which is kind of similar to Wi-Fi, but it's a lower bandwidth, lower power thing, and it forms more of a mesh network. But what you want to pay attention to is, like, if you decide to go with only Zigbee devices or Z-Wave devices, just look for the logo to make sure you're buying something compatible. What I will be showing during this demo is a set of Zigbee devices, which uses a little dongle like this. So if you're trying to buy devices, look for something that matches that. But a lot of other things will have like the Home Assistant logo to show that they work out of the box. If it doesn't work out of the box, a lot of people in the community have come up with their own add-ons to get it to work with it. And again, if you are inclined to write your own code, like, you can create your own interface for something that doesn't have native Home Assistant support. So now I'm going to move on to the live demo part of this. We're going to get a brand new Home Assistant flashed and stood up. If you want, you can go ahead and download the Home Assistant application for your phone. And once we get this device flashed, you'll be able to see, you can put in the IP address for what this device will come up as, and you'll see the Home Assistant on showing up on the app on your phone, and you'll be able to do things like turn on and off lights with the device that I have set up. So you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to start by getting the Raspberry Pi set up. So the way you set up Raspberry Pis is you flash an image to a micro SD card. And you use something called, it's a tool called the Raspberry Pi Imager.
So when you say flash an image, you're taking an image of Home Assistant. Is that correct?
Yes. Oop. Have to exit that. All right, so this is the Raspberry Pi Imager. I just plugged in the micro SD card. I'm going to pick the device. This is a Raspberry Pi 5. I'm going to choose the operating system. Nope, not that one. This one. And home automation is right there. And you just select Home Assistant.
So you're able to install Home Assistant directly from the Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
You don't have to download anything?
Right. Cool. So while that gets going, I would like to, actually this will not take very long. What will take a while is powering this thing up and getting it initialized. Any questions while that's going? Yes.
Is the idea behind Home Assistant, once you get it set up with compatible devices, is that your smart home gadgets are essentially in a closed loop on your network?
Yes. Yeah. So earlier on, I was talking about cloud-based versus locally hosted, and yes, all these devices can connect directly through the Home Assistant, and so you're not subjected to not being able to turn on and off your lights when AWS goes down. Yeah, or adjust your bed. Other things like my robot vacuum, the way it came was it was only connected through a cloud-based app, but other people had taken that firmware, modified it such that you could have it be locally hosted. So I replaced the firmware in my robot vacuum with this open source version and pointed it to my Home Assistant. And so the Home Assistant is now what controls the robot vacuum.
For stuff like that, for custom firmware, or you want to potentially move over some devices you already have, where's a good resource to find people doing that or those conversations?
So there is a like community page on Home Assistant where people talk about projects that they've done. I will give a little demo if we have time of ESP Home, and so it's a way of it's basically an add-on to Home Assistant that allows you to take a YAML file and basically write firmware for these little ESP32 microcontrollers. And so if you have some custom thing you want to set up, you can control motors or whatever you want through the GPIOs of these ESP32 microcontrollers. You can just set all of that up in a YAML file, and through the Home Assistant, flash a device, and then it comes up on your network and ready to go. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Would you ever recommend hosting Home Assistant on Raspberry Pi Lite, so just like the headless operating system?
So it is a headless version of Linux.
Oh, this Home Assistant OS is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could run a Tailscale instance and just run it from your phone or connect to it with your phone?
Yeah, so I have, while that is I don't know why that's taken a bit of time. I have a VPN connected to my own Home Assistant. I don't know why this is taking longer than normal. Maybe while that's going, I'll show off what I have for my own Home Assistants. So I've done something similar to what you just suggested. And I have my home network. I have a VPN server running on my home network, and I connected it to, this is a little travel router that I am using so I can configure the networking here for this setup. But it's connected to the VPN on my home network, and so I can directly connect to it. From here, I have another VPN client on my phone, so when I'm outside of my home network, I can connect to it. But I think there's a misconception that if you're going to automate your home, you have to make it very complicated and automate everything. But that is not the case. Just so everyone's aware, I live in a pretty small home, and I try to only automate things that make a lot of sense. At the end of the day, like, what I want to do is make things more convenient, and I think good automations, you just don't even notice them. And so I have lights automated, I have the different rooms set up, I have some things set up, like, so here's the controls for my mini split, so I can set the mode for it. I have some smart speakers. If I want to do things like cast to Spotify, I can actually see what the state of that is, so it broadcasts out what its state is. And personally, I found that on my phone, when casting with Spotify, sometimes the interface doesn't work as well with my phone, but it's always working through here. So I have a better time, easier time of changing the volume and moving songs when I do the controls through the Home Assistant. Let's check on the imager. Okay, cool. I was worried that the slow network here would slow that down. So yeah, not a lot to it. I've got some like smart blinds where I can like open and close them. I have a bunch of sensors in different parts of the house so I can see the temperature and humidity. I have a bunch of soil sensors that I'll be showing off later on. So my wife has a bunch of plants throughout the house, and we have different sensors that measure the temperature and moisture content for the different plants. And you can even set up a like notification, so you get notified on the phone app if something needs to be like, oh, you got to water this plant or whatnot. So it's pretty cool. Again, I have like this interface for the robot vacuum that I have. So I was able to get rid of the separate app for controlling that robot. Now I just control it directly through the Home Assistant. Yes?
Is that the next challenge for your home plants with the automation is you can automate the watering based on the soil?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a kind of out-of-the-box solution that connects over Zigbee, and you can, like, it has a water reservoir, and you can set it to.
I haven't seen the water reservoir, but I did try buying like little pumps so you can
Yeah.
stick in the bucket and
Yeah, they do have those things. All right, let's see how still verifying.
maybe you'll get to this, but just curious, like, as far as like voice activation or voice control in these systems, similar to something like Alexa or whatever, and even potentially like running a local LLM or something.
Yes, so I have done that. I bought a NVIDIA Jetson, which is their like edge AI device. It has 190 TOPS on it, so it's not something for running like a large parameter, but it's got enough memory and computing power to do something like a smaller model. So I think Quinn 3B running on it, and Home Assistant does sell. Cool. They do sell a device that works for connecting that to it, but you could also, if you don't want to set up your own LLM, you can connect it to something like OpenAI or Gemini or whatnot. So
Is the 3B model accurate enough for the Home Assistant or just like the voice assistant?
I'll show you what I found. So I'm gonna try to do things in parallel for the sake of time, but I will demo that. Did I power that on? So we're gonna wait for this to. So this is the panel for. Oop. For the little router I've got, and once it boots up, we should see the Home Assistant connected to it. Looks like somebody's got their phone connected to it. This was when I had connected earlier to see that everything was working. But once the Home Assistant finishes booting up, it does take a while for the initial boot. Once everything has initialized, it comes up a lot faster, but it's installing a brand new OS. It's getting itself configured.
This is off topic, but is your Aura ring also connected to?
What?
I see Aura on there. Is that like your?
Oh no, that's my laptop name.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's cool. You can actually pull from all your.
No.
I think there's usually used ANT plus or whatever.
Huh?
Like some of the devices that do like hurrying use like ANT plus.
Oh yeah.
To broadcast, which computers don't usually have.
But yes, I do have a self-hosted LLM. Maybe while that is coming up, I can show. So when I first got the locally hosted LLM and connected it to this little device that Home Assistant sells for that to kind of take the place of Alexa, I was just like, oh, well, I'll like connect it and just see what it does. And I think it's best.
Can you turn the lights on in the garage?
Oh, is it not coming out through? Sorry, it's not connected to the speakers. Okay, let's try.
Front.
All right. Let's try that again. So this is a little Naboo device that Home Assistant sells, and yeah, this was I just got it up and running, and I connected this device and was like, oh, let's just see what it can do.
Hey Jarvis, can you turn the lights on in the garage?
Nobody can do seizure.
Turn the volume up.
Yeah, the volume.
Oh.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I found out is that you can provide a set of instructions, and what I needed to do was tell it, don't explain yourself, don't do markdown, because what it's doing is it's reading out a markdown file that it generated. So, huh? Yeah, it is very thorough. I think at one point it says my instructions are I should respond succinctly. So I've since learned that you have to give these things better instructions. Okay. So here it is. It is now booted up. That is the IP address for it. Here, I'm going to try to... And this always comes up as 8123. Come on. 8.219. Oh, that's my issue. 2, 1. There we go. All right, so while that continues to set up, I will go back to my Home Assistant. So yes, I do have a better set of instructions for my conversation agent, and you can see that here. So better rules, maximum 2 sentences, no paragraphs like you saw in the previous video. Never explain yourself. If asked something simple like what's the weather, just respond with only the weather and not everything else. I also found out that when I asked it what the weather was like, it would at first read out the state of every single sensor in the house to give me what the weather was for the sensor. So you have to be particular, but yes, you can entirely host your own LLM, have it take the place of something like Alexa. And the benefit of that is that, you don't have Amazon harvesting the data from all of your conversations in your home to sell you more products. It is, because I'm running on a pretty low power device, there is still like I would say a 3 to 5 second delay for answering, but as far as like controlling the lights and whatnot and telling me like what the weather is today, it's pretty fast at doing that. So what are some automations that I have set up?
Is this interface from Home Assistant?
Yes, this is the interface from Home Assistant, and this is the web browser interface for it. So if I go to the settings and see some automations, you can see what I've got. And so I've got in the garage, if motion is detected, turn the lights on. Only do it if the lights are currently off. If the lights are turned off in the living room and the front door opens, sets the lights in the living room on. This one is one of my favorites. My wife hates it, but she also likes it, and it's a light-based alarm clock. And so I don't know if any of you have seen the like bedside alarm clocks that gradually turn a light on 5 minutes up to the time that you set. I think those are like $100. They're pretty expensive, but because I have the lights in my bedroom controlled with Home Assistant, I can have this automation set up to where I give it a time, and I could either like enable it or disable it. And 5 minutes leading up to the time that I set, it'll start to gradually increase the brightness of the lights in the bedroom. And so then there's not even a snooze button to hit. So it really forces you out of bed. Any questions on that? Cool. So let's see if Home Assistant is still going. I was kind of worried this network would be a little slow. We can keep going over what I have. So you'll see that there are different rooms that I've set up. So I have the living room, bedroom, bathroom, office. Here's the conversation agent. You can also interact with it directly with a chat. So I tried bringing the little box over here, but I found that it wasn't able to directly connect the same way over the VPN. But through here, I can still interact with it with chat. So So, yeah, well, by interacting with it over text, it's not having to process like the audio, the voice command. So it's a lot faster with that.
Does it have to be that kind of that specific? Like, can you turn the lights on in the living room? Sure. If you said like, can you turn them off? Would it have that context of?
I think if you had previously said which lights to turn on, I mean, I could just say we could test that out.
Yeah.
It might just turn on all the lights, or it might say, I don't know what lights you're talking about. Oh, okay. So it knew that I was talking about the living room, and it remembered that. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw on the video I showed, but there was a little single board computer behind the little voice controller, and that was the NVIDIA Jetson. Yeah. I mean, if you have a there is somebody that's developed a AI orchestrator that's the intent behind that is you don't have to add as many like specific scripts, and it's supposed to be a little bit more intelligent. I have not played around with that. I just haven't had the time to look at it, but it seems pretty interesting. It's like more of a agent that's interfaces with your self-hosted thing, whereas this is just interfacing directly with the chat bot, but it's not really acting in agentic form.
Would the administrator start suggesting its own automations, or is it only human? Does there need to be a human in the loop the entire time?
I think with the AI orchestrator, it doesn't need the human, but I don't know. Like I said, I haven't directly tried that one out.
What's the name of it?
Huh?
Do you know the name of it?
Yeah, it's. I think I can pull it up. Oh, maybe I had it starred in my GitHub. Checking in on. It is the Home Assistant AI Orchestrator. Yeah. Man, I really thought this would not take as long.
So I'm curious what, I guess where this question is coming from is for us, the main thing that I've noticed that bugs me is even our TV, which I understand is like Android based, it's not like a light switch or something like that. The software on there is actively like giving us ads, even though we bought the TV. Have you seen, I guess, what other devices have you seen kind of in this larger ecosystem where you can swap out things like that? Have you seen anything for like a TV or like even an Alexa? Can you change your OS on that so that it's not, what pieces of hardware can you swap things out with? That's what I'm wondering.
So there is I've seen somebody develop hardware that's you can drop in on top of like the Google Nest devices that act as a smart controller to remove like the cloud-based part of it. So I know that one exists, but in place of like Alexa, you can do this like it's a Home Assistant Nabu device and connect your
Different piece of hardware
for that. Yeah.
That makes sense.
As far as the ads on the TV, if you're running Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi, you can install Pi-hole, which is a network-wide ad blocker.
Yeah. I have that as well.
Pretty convenient.
It's pretty nice. Yeah.
What are the downsides are there any downsides from running Pi-hole? I've read about it, but I haven't seen negative.
Often the thing I've noticed is that now that the top results from like Google search are often the sponsored ones, and all the sponsored links like don't work, and so then you have to go further down in the search results to actually like see the thing again. But then you're not actively like partaking in Google's like revenue generating thing because it's a feature. Yeah.
There is some VPNs like Surfshark that have web blocker, ad blocker, traffic block, all that stuff, mask IP, but you just have to install it like per device. But usually on that old TV, you could put the app source of the new ones. It's not available. But
Yeah.
it runs on your phone. It'll block you from the ads and tracking and stuff.
Yeah, some websites will detect that you're using an ad blocker and prevent you from accessing the website.
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be that bad. A lot of them just give you a warning, like, hey, we know she's using an ad blocker, please turn it off. But then you can say, okay, and then don't. Continue. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm afraid. So it does require an internet connection when setting up the device for the first time. This just worked a lot faster on my home network than here. But I can continue.
are you running on Jumps Network or your phone?
Jumps network.
Do you want to connect like a 5G? I'll turn on the
I'd have to because it's connected over through this, so I'd have to disconnect that, and I'd be worried about like
resetting progress.
resetting progress. But I can get things set up for the demo. So I have a number of devices that I wanted to show off. So these are some Zigbee light bulbs and these fancy lamps from the thrift store.
How much are like the Zigbee different light bulbs and things like that?
These light bulbs were $25 for a set of 4.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Amazon or Walmart?
Amazon and Walmart sell them both. I got most of the stuff for this demo from Amazon.
If you're using bulbs with two different standards, like Thread and Zigbee, does Home Assistant bridge them together pretty well?
So Zigbee requires a separate dongle. Thread can communicate in a couple of different ways, but Home Assistant will work with both of those.
So you can
Yeah.
control them both at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Have So I've got some smart bulbs. I've got a motion detector. I have a soil sensor for the sad little plant here. Huh?
Oh, the soil sensor's got a lot nicer. That one back in the day, it was very, it was rough, very rust.
Yeah. Yeah, this works off of, it's a capacitive sensor, so it can detect the moisture content and the temperature of the plant. And then the last sensor I have here is a door sensor, so it can detect whether or not you have opened a door or not.
Would there be any downsides of using the soil one outside? Would it hold up to that, or is it mostly just indoor?
No, it'll work outside. Depending on the battery, the temperature swings can affect some batteries more than others. Especially if you have a little like lithium-ion battery in it, those will like not work as well in the cold. But no, these work indoors, outdoors.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I still once this comes up, we'll set up a brand new. Okay.
Should have done the week-to-week camera at your house, and then we can start putting the lights in.
Yeah, so I actually have, in case this didn't work on the network, I have one already pre-flashed. So I think I'll do that, just so we don't wait for it to come up here. Yeah, I was worried about the slow network.
It's just the nature of cameras, right?
Yeah. So this should up 219. Is that the right one? 8.2.
Always the same cord.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so here we've got a new instance of Home Assistant set up. This is the one that I pre-flashed at home. Sorry, that other one was taking too long to load up. So let's go ahead and get some room set up. So we can create a living room, or okay, I guess I already had these set up. So living room, kitchen, bedroom. But let's add first this Zigbee dongle, and hopefully you will.
Range on something like that. Sorry.
What's the what?
Like the range on something like
So Zigbee is different than Wi-Fi. It is a subset of the 802.11 standard, but it forms more of a mesh network, and so each device can help make the mesh network wider.
So like for us, and we're in 1,800 square feet, because I know you're in like.
Yeah, I'm in a pretty small. Yeah, yeah,
So it depends on how far you place each device.
So
if
you
that's a
would
jump spot.
put them
Yeah.
in a couple places.
yeah. As long as any particular device is not too far away from another device, you can have a pretty wide range. It's one of the reasons why Zigbee is used in a lot of industrial applications, is because it's just a lot more robust for low bandwidth applications like sensors.
You can pick up one of the light bulbs if you're missing, like on a very far edge of your garage or whatever.
Just
Just stick a light bulb in the middle and then have bridge to the light bulb.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Strategically place all your light bulbs.
So I have the Zigbee already installed on this one. Let's go ahead and just plug in some lights. Which one did I plug in here?
Oh, you have it on rave mode.
Yeah.
That's its default.
So that is as simple. That's all it takes to pair a Zigbee device. So I highly recommend giving it a smart name. So let's go ahead and add this to the living room. So we can make this living room light 1. And we can add that to the living room. And just like that, the device is initialized. So if we go back to the living room, we can see, hey, that light is already there. We can set the brightness, and I think this one actually has a color palette. So we can change the color. Set the brightness. Yeah, and let's go add another device. And since we saw that work, I'm just going to go ahead and add all the devices, all the lights.
Just with the one. That's what I was worried about, like upstairs, downstairs.
So where do we want to add this device to? The bedroom, the bathroom? Bedroom?
Is there like a confirm button, or once you type it in, you select the space that's just added?
It says that it's there. I mean, we can hit refresh on the page, and it'll just show that the device is there.
Put the master sensor in the bed. Kids' room.
Oh, that's adding devices. Yeah. So now you can see we've got the living room and the bedroom lights. Let's go ahead and add this third light. Oh, it's not plugged in. All right, should we add this to the kitchen? Oh. Add that to the kitchen.
Lights go, lights go.
I would put motion sensors in every room and trigger them to turn off when you leave.
Next, we can add. Yeah.
Oh, that's just like a double A.
Yeah. Just a single AA battery. And as you can see, this is brand new out of the box. We should see it just come up right here. I need to hit the
You know, my Zigbee ones always, some of them take a few tries, and some of them show up immediately, and I can't figure out why.
There we go. This one, it's a little loose right there. All right, now I see the blue LED. There we go. Call this the put that in the living room plant.
If the device goes offline or loses the connection for whatever reason, is it pretty good at like self-healing or
Yeah.
is it
Zigbee is a self-healing network. So you can like, if you like cut the power and then put it back on, it'll just auto reconnect.
So a lot of these devices look like they're third reality ones. Is that
Yeah.
like your favorite?
It was just easy to buy a bunch of them at once for the demo.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, the ones, so Third Reality has these lights that are just individual bulbs, and so that was easier to demo. At home, I have Lutron light switches, so I replaced the actual physical light switches in my house with these ones from Lutron, and Lutron has an integration to Home Assistant. So that's what I have for the ones in my house. But for the demo, it was easier to get these standalone lamps because I don't think Jump wanted me to take apart the light panels in in this room.
Does the communication between the Lutron and your Home Assistant, does that happen offline or that's still through?
It happens offline. Well, on the local network. So I have the Lutron hub directly connected into a network switch, and so I see it directly on that. So it just communicates directly to that hub. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. And then one more device to add, and this is the door sensor. So this is a little Hall effect sensor, but you can use it for detecting whether your door is open or not. And in case you can't see, for each of these devices, there's a little button. I just hold that down, and that puts it in pairing mode. And yeah, you can just comes right up. If any of you have tried adding like smart bulbs via Wi-Fi, it can be a pain because you have to have the app that connects to it. It goes into a pairing mode. It can, then every time you update your Wi-Fi's password, you have to go through and update all of these devices. It's one of the reasons why I really like working with Zigbee. It's just because you don't have these devices cluttering up your home network. They just kind of work and they're easy to pair. So by putting devices into different rooms, in the back end, they kind of get grouped together. So if I look at the living room, it's automatically added all of the devices that we added to that front door. or that living room. So we can see kind of live, I moved the sensor away from the door, and you see that it moved from closed to open. And now it's gone back to closed. We have it's probably going to detect everyone here for the motion detector, but maybe if I close that off, it'll stop saying detected, or maybe it'll just always go off. Yeah, maybe that one wasn't the best for demo. We have, I mean, a lot of these cards just got added in live based off of the rooms that we added. Here we have the soil sensor, and this plant is very sad because it doesn't have any water. I'm going to give it a little bit. We should see it update here. Six minutes ago. Oh. There we go. So now that's updated. So now that we have these devices, does anybody have any idea about an automation that they would like to add? Nope.
Our light breaker should be based on our soil.
When the soil moisture hits 30%, turn all the lights down to 20.
That might be a little hard to
Just do like
control.
when you open the door, your lights come on or something.
Okay, so I did not want this to be a coding example, and I don't think you need coding skills in order to do automations because we have AI. So what I would like to demo is how you can use something like GitHub's Copilot and give it prompts in order to help you with automating things. So you just said you want the front door when it's open to turn the lights on in the living room. So we can give that prompt to Copilot. So I have a home assistant. To So the way you configure automations in Home Assistant is through YAML files. Is everyone here familiar with those, or do I need to help explain those? Oh, look at that. It made suggestions about only doing that before or after sunset. Is that when the front door is opened? Okay, here we go. So all automations in Home Assistant need something that is called an ID. And so this is how Home Assistant recognizes one automation from another one. If we go back to the Home Assistant I have for my own home, we can take a look at what I have. All of the automations are editable in an automation file. So I have mine set up one way where I have different automations for them. So Home Assistant will recognize the different automations you have based off of their ID. And so these are kind of the different automations I have set up. And if they all have their own separate ID, they will all show up here. Home Assistant also has a way of creating automations through the GUI. I just find it to be a little cumbersome, and it's easier for me because I have a programming background to just read through something like this and know what to set rather than going through their GUI. But we can just take this, and in our, oh, did I lose the window for that? Oh no, it's right here. Oh no, that's my, got too many Home Assistants up here. That's it, right? Okay. So if I go to the, oh, I don't have the file editor. So I guess I should have said this. You have, you can add a bunch of apps through the App Store on Home Assistant. And one thing I find very helpful is the file editor. And so this allows you to manually go through and modify files on the Home Assistant. And so if you're somebody that really likes going in and tweaking things manually, this is something that I have found very helpful and useful, because otherwise the only way to do them is through the GUI interface.
Those YAML files live as actual files on the Raspberry Pi, so you could like SSH in and
Yep.
edit them as well.
Yep. Yeah, and there's an SSH plugin if you want to enable that on the Home Assistant. I think it is still installing the man, the network here is really, really slow. But hopefully you can, if I need to help explain this, all of the devices that you add have an entity ID. And so they are put into different categories, whether they are a sensor or a light or a fan or a switch, and that tells the Home Assistant how to control all of these things. And so like the door sensor, it's a binary sensor. It's either open or it's closed, and so it knows that the states for it are either open or closed. The light, we might have to tweak this a little bit because it's only on or off if we want to have it change colors. And these lights are a little bit more complicated because they have more than just an on or an off state. They have color, they have brightness. But we can just plug it in and see how it's... cool. So now we should see the file editor. I'm going to change this screen setup here to just not have me okay, so now I can actually see on here. I'm not seeing the file editor. Might have to reset it. So some plugins, after updating them or after adding them, you have to reset the Home Assistant. And for a lot of like adding YAML files, you want to do like a quick reload, which takes a lot less time than resetting the whole Home Assistant. I'm still not seeing the file editor. Well, that's okay, because for this demo, we can do it based off of the GUI interface. So you wanted to have the living room lights turn on when we detect the door. So we can have a sensor right here. So when this device, and we can have the front door sensor. And when the front door opens, then do living room light. We can set the power level, or we can turn the brightness on. So when the front door is opened, then do turn the lights on. So let's go back, see what's in the living room. Let's just go ahead and turn that off. So I think this one is the living room light. Oh, nope, did that not work? Well, let's go back to the automations and see. Set it triggered. Let's change. Maybe we didn't set the.
Maybe easier also to set it to toggle instead of on and off, or instead of just on.
That also might have been the power on behavior.
Yeah.
When you get power back to it, what does it do?
This is why I like using the YAML file.
There's so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is at the bottom. Turn on.
Turn on living room lights. Oh, there's flash options? Well, let's see what that does. Okay, there. It's kind of dim, but we see that it's turned on.
It's on the setting you left it on.
Oh, it's on the setting I left it on. Okay, so if I turn it off, oh, there we go. It went to the previous settings, so I can turn it off. Because I had it open. There we go. So now we have an automation where when the front door opens, if the light is off, it returns to its previous state. Just like that. Anything else? Do you want to have the lights turn off when the moisture is above a certain point for?
I don't know how we would test that one.
Yeah.
The moisture goes up or something. Like that. You can water it all that.
Yeah. Yeah, with the, I don't know why the file editor isn't.
How much have you played?
Oh, I have to start it. There we go.
How much have you played with the motion sensor? Because this is less technical, but just on a user level, they always seem hard to dial in to be useful because yes, you can turn a light on when someone enters a room, but then I guess I'm always trying to figure out how to save power when someone exits a room versus when they're just sitting there and suddenly the lights turn off.
So the motion sensors, I have it only for the garage because that's the only like part of the house where I just like always want the lights to turn on when somebody's there.
Yeah.
There are other devices called presence detectors, and so they work at I think 20 to 30 gigahertz, and essentially the way they work is they detect if there is something breathing in your house. So they're not dependent on motion. It's just as long as there is a warm body in the house, it'll know that there's somebody there. And so you can have things like you can have an automation set to turn the lights off if there's nobody present in the house. And I think they're configured. I think you can tweak them in a way to like not go off if like your cat's at home and things like that. But those are really good for keeping the current state and turning things off if nobody's home. So if you like forget to turn your lights off and you don't check the app, if you leave, then it'll turn the lights off or whatnot. But it's not like you have to start waving your hands.
I have been in many rooms doing
Yeah.
that. It works
They're pretty cool. They are a lot more expensive than the simple motion detectors. Something like this is like $10, but a presence detector I think is like $30 to $40. Yes.
I'm curious about like cameras, security cameras, things like that.
Yes.
So to like not have all your stuff going or whatever.
So this I'm pretty excited for because there's something called the ESP Home Builder. And so if you're not familiar, and there is another talk later today where somebody will go into more detail on these ESP32 chips, but this is a little ESP32 microcontroller. And this right here, I don't know if you can see it, is a little camera. And if you were to ask me, even like a year ago, how long would it take me, somebody with a lot of experience on embedded systems, to come up with the firmware for this microcontroller to have its interface with the camera, connect to a Wi-Fi, and stream video? I would have told you, 1 month maybe to get like a proof of concept up and going, maybe 2 months to have something that's reliable, but that's just not the case anymore. And so what I want to show you is how to give AI a prompt, and it'll generate a YAML file for ESP32 Home Builder. And what goes on in the background for that is it's using Platform IO to create, they basically have a bunch of configuration files for different board types, and there are a bunch of different boards that have been added to its support list. And so if you have a board that it already has built-in support for, you can use that to create custom firmware for that device. And it'll have it write the firmware, it'll connect, it'll like get the Wi-Fi chip working, it'll get the camera interface working. When I first started playing around with this, I knew that the days of writing firmware from scratch were limited, and that it was going to like kind of change the way we do things. So that's what I want to show off here. And so I have a prompt. Let's see, where was that? So this is, so if you want the chat, here I can, this is the prompt I got working for me. So generate an ESP Home YAML file for a Seeed Studio ESP32 S3 Sense with the camera. I have the information about which version of ESP Home I have running, the framework for it. You don't have to be this specific, but when I was getting this up and running for the first time, I had to go through a couple of iterations, and for the sake of time, because we don't have too much time left, I found that this would generate a YAML file kind of the first time for it. And so what this will output is a YAML file that you can feed into ESP Home. It will generate the firmware. You can flash it on the device, and then it'll just come up, and you can have it integrated with Home Assistant. And so here, this is everything you need to get everything you need to set up this little ESP32 camera. And this is a $13 camera. You can buy them from Amazon or Seed Studio or DigiKey. They're pretty simple. Something you can do is you can have it by default. These are set up to just stream video, but you can have an automation set up to where, like, if it detects motion at the front door, then you can log the video to like something with more storage. Like, let's say you have like a home server, it can save the video footage for 5 minutes of that. And then you have a $15 self-hosted implementation of a Ring camera, and I think those sell for like $150. So, and then it's connected on your home network, and so it's not being used to train Amazon's AI models and spy on you. So we can take this YAML file and put it into ESP32 Home. So there is a plugin, so you can run all of this directly through the Home Assistant, but because it's a low-powered Raspberry Pi, I found that it is really, really slow when running, because it is building firmware for that. So I have ESP Home just installed on my laptop for getting it to connect to your, and this is the interface. But basically what it does is it sets up a little web server, and you can interface with ESP Home entirely through a web server. You can put in the Wi-Fi credentials. You'll have like an API encryption key for updating these devices so they can be updated through the web interface. But really getting these set up and connected to your network is really just as simple as making that YAML file. And this is the tough part, because these have really tiny buttons. You can't even see them. And to put it into initial boot mode, you have to hold these tiny things and then reset it. And then all I got to do is, so here is the YAML file I got from Copilot. If you're interested, it sets up like the GPIOs on the microcontroller, what kind of interface the camera has, general purpose input output. So on microcontrollers, you have pins that can be set to toggle high or low. They can be configured for different interfaces. In this case, the camera that's connected to it is actually a separate board that interfaces with the little ESP32. And I believe that is over I2C, which is like an embedded communication protocols for communicating to different boards or microcontrollers on a single board. But what this YAML file does is it tells Platform IO, which is running on the back end of ESP Home, how to generate the firmware for it. And then all you have to do is install it, and you can flash these microcontrollers from this web interface. I want this one. And here, because I put it in boot mode by hitting the reset button and the boot button, these, I mean, you can't really see it. They're tiny buttons. then it just comes up. And so it sees this device connected over USB, and then it just flashes it. And I mean, this is, if anybody here has done like embedded development, the fact that you can just create firmware from a YAML file and flash it all from a web interface is really, really cool. I mean, this was not like possible just a few years ago, and this really just streamlines embedded development.
Do other microcontrollers interface well with Home Assistant, or is it mainly ESPs that?
ESPs probably have the most community supports aside from things like Arduino, but this will like add to it all of the like necessary like communication stuff to interface really well with Home Assistant. So it's probably the thing that I have found easiest to integrate.
Yeah, people aren't doing like STM boards.
I mean, you probably have some like embedded systems engineers that are using STM boards, but ESP32s are.
Yeah, there's not like an STM Home.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are pretty cheap, like, well, ESPs and NRFs, if you're familiar with those. And like anything that integrates pretty well with Platform I/O, you can also do. But these are the only ones that have like the ESP Home that you can flash directly through this web interface.
So the microcontroller comes with a little camera that's
This particular one does, but you can buy other, and this is just a little camera that interfaces directly to the microcontroller. If you like get in close here, you can see that there are a number of like GPIO pins on the side of it. So if you have, let's say you have a dumb device that you want to make smart, and so you want to like turn something on that doesn't have smart controls, you can buy an ESP32 microcontroller, wire it up to have the like on-off controls set from GPIOs on that microcontroller, and then generate your own YAML file based off of what you want the behavior of those GPIO pins to do, and make a dumb device smart and connected to your Wi-Fi. So this is like a tinkerer's like, you know, like thing to do.
and it's that cheap.
It's that cheap. Yeah.
But where'd you pick it up?
I got it off of DigiKey. And I at the end of the slideshow, I have links to all of the things that I purchased for this. So it is, okay, cool. So it has finished installing the firmware. Let's see if it has come up on the home network. Oh no, I've got too many browsers open up. So we should see it. Ah, yeah, and here we can see it has popped up on my Wi-Fi router here, this little security camera. And if we go to the devices, yeah. Oop, the encryption key. That is important. So this is what will prevent just anybody from interfacing with that device. Oh no. Uh-oh. It needs. I don't know why it's not. Oh no, that's why. The device seems to have. This connection is loose. Yeah. I think this antenna is a little.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I won't have it sitting on the. There we go. So now if we go to the living room, hey, look at that. So in just a few minutes, you go from a prompt in Copilot to a working security camera with a live feed connected to your Home Assistant. Like, I mean, that would have taken me months previously to do, and with Home Assistant and ESP Home and AI tools like Copilot, it just works. And so with these, with this $15, $14 camera and your own computer, you can have like your own version of a Ring doorbell with all of the videos stored on your own home server, and it's private. You don't have to worry about Amazon like selling your video or using your video to train its AIs, or it's much more secure. You control it. You can set it up. You don't have to worry about Amazon getting hacked and then like, oh, somebody now has access to all of your like home video footage kind of thing.
It's also cheaper.
It is cheaper. Yeah. For the price of a Raspberry Pi and the camera and all these other things, like that's less than just one Ring. And there's no monthly subscription fee for this. Yeah.
On that same topic, what security measures do you have to take? Because with self-hosting now, everything's kind of in your ballpark. Is there anything that you do to make sure? I'm sure being a mesh network, that's probably more helpful.
So devices that are connected over like Zigbee don't have visibility directly to your Wi-Fi network. And so that is one layer of security. That's something I've always been pretty cautious about with like Wi-Fi enabled smart devices. That like, oh, you have to like give this device your home's Wi-Fi credentials. And there's really, if it's a closed source thing, like you have no idea if it's sending your credentials off somewhere. And I've heard of some like, Chinese robot vacuums kind of doing that and sending data without your knowledge. If they're not on your Wi-Fi, they can't see anything. There is one device I have that I haven't been able to connect to my Home Assistant, and I haven't been able to load firmware on. It's automated cat feeder. To protect myself, I just have it on a separate network.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's a precaution I have taken for things that I haven't been able to, custom build. But that's what I would recommend, because some of these things are convenient. You just don't have other options.
Is using a VPN the only way to access your home assistant remotely, or are there people who actually like set it up on a domain and make
So
give it a login, all that stuff?
You can, if you don't want to go through the trouble of setting up a VPN, you can use what is called Home Assistant Cloud. And so you can create an account with them, and they open up access to it through the app. I just prefer using a VPN because then I control it. But I know that's a lot of work, and not everyone knows how to set up the networks to do that. But there is an option if you don't want to set up a VPN or if you can't set up a VPN.
I don't think it's secure. You can also request a set account and forwarding into a separate VLAN for it, but I think using VPN is better.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. We have a few minutes left. I can go over some other devices that like I don't have but would recommend. So I did mention like the presence detector. This is a device I don't have yet, but it's next on my list to automate, and it is a water shutoff valve. So you can bolt it on top of like your home's water main disconnect, and you can have a number of like moisture sensors around the house, and if it detects a leak, it'll just auto shut it off. Won't flood your basements. You can have it turn it off if you're like off on vacation or whatnot. Yeah, my house has the main water shut off in a very inconvenient location, and I mean, it was when I first bought the place, it was behind the refrigerator, and like I had a had a leak on the water heater, and I was like in the shower when I heard it like went cold, and I heard the water go, and I'm like, oh, like had to like run. I like recently like moved into the place, so I had like no idea where it was, and I thankfully was able to like shut it off at the water heater. But later I found it was like in the wall behind the refrigerator. Like I would have never been able to get to it, and it's still not in a convenient location, even though I've like changed some things around it. But like once I get this, then it's just a button, or it'll automatically turn off if I put these moisture detectors in key places. If you have a smart panel, I do not have a smart panel, but there are a number of companies out here that have these panels that'll integrate with Home Assistant, and so you can better manage like your electricity usage. You can track things in real time. I know with like electric grids, what's really important is like the peak current pull, and so a lot of devices are really spiky in their current usage. So like the compressor on your refrigerator, the water heater, you can, like using Home Assistant, coordinate all of these things if you have a smart panel to like maybe not have electric car charger running if the water heater is going to kick on, or delay when the compressor kicks on for your refrigerator. Like this is how you can have all of these smart devices like cooperate with each other to make your home like better and more efficient. But it's not something I have. I know new panels are a pretty big price item. I think this one would be $2,000 to $3,000, and I haven't gotten around to that yet.
I'm curious about I've thought about hooking up like a solar panel system on my shed, and the same type of thing where you're having to deal with these peaks in a more
Right.
local way because it's not like your house system. So
Mhm.
I'm curious if you could hook it up to something like that.
I know a number of different like charge controllers do interface with Home Assistant, and same with like some house batteries also do that. I was actually helping my in-laws with getting their house batteries set up because they were having an issue with the app not working. There's also like water heaters that'll integrate with it. So newer ones are just kind of coming out with new products that are automation first. And so you can have it set to like comfort levels, or turn it down when you're out, and have it like kick back on like if you're coming back from vacation earlier. And as time goes on, there are going to be more and more devices that just like are designed for automation and will integrate well. As I mentioned earlier, here's a list of all of the devices I purchased. And if you want, here's a QR code to a spreadsheet that I put together. I know we're at time, but any questions or comments or anything else you want to see?
It's about like backing up. So there's so much goes into setting something like this up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is on. I don't know. Do you run on a Raspberry Pi? At home
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, I run on a Raspberry Pi at home.
So like, is there a way to back up your configuration or
Yep.
some like fail safe if the Pi craps out?
Yeah, for my own home, I have. Is this one mine? Yeah. So I have backups. I think that is, yeah, right here. So I have it backing up to a home server on my network, and I have it set to back up, I think, every day. It keeps the last 5 backups, and it does a backup before any update to Home Assistant. So yeah, I did have a Raspberry Pi die on me, and then it was just, nope, take the backup and get it up and running, and it was like almost a non-issue. Yeah.
You can also recognize an image out of the SD card in the Raspberry Pi. So if you have all the stuff saved to it, you can clone it and then read the image again on something else.
Yeah, that is a problem with these like SD cards, is that like they're pretty cheap and they're not like intended for long-term use, and especially running it on a Raspberry Pi, like they have a lot of read-write operations, which does reduce the lifetime of little SD cards like that. You can get for Raspberry Pis an NVMe hat, which allows you to have like an SSD that you connect to it, but that's more expensive. SD cards are cheap, and if you have backups, then when one dies, you just replace it. Yeah, I think I bought like a pack of these for $20.
I had to request access to that spreadsheet, by the way.
Oh, okay. I will update it to just make it more open. Yeah, but we also will be posting the presentation
Great.
to the Hack4 website. Yeah.
Cool. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, sorry about some of the hiccups with the network, but it's a live tech demo.
Not the worst live tech.
Yeah, there wasn't a blue screen of death,
Yeah.
but it's not Windows, so yeah, and feel free to come up and take a look at any of these things if you want.